What if I told you the problem that haunted last season? The soft middle that turned layups into open. House Day finally has an answer. And it's not a washed-up quick fix or a headline for clout, but a plan that actually aligns with how this team wants to play when it matters in May and June. What if I told you the front office has stopped flirting with maybe and moved to this is the guy? The one move that turns Anthony Davis back into the matchup nightmare he's supposed to be. Every single night. And what if I promised to walk you through exactly why the timing, the price, the locker room balance, and the late game math all point in the same direction while you and I both keep our feet on the ground about what is and isn't official right now. Here's what I'm seeing and why I'm fired up. We're starting the season with uncertainty at the top of the pyramid and zero patience for wasted possessions. That's the reality of a veteran core. You don't get to figure it out in February if your November defense bleeds points at the rim. Last season's film told one consistent story across losses, second chance points, and straight line drives, tilting games late. You can dress it up with coverage tweaks, but basketball is a contact sport decided by gravity around the cup. If you want to unlock spacing on one end and erase mistakes on the other, you put a real 5 next to AD and stop asking him to be your last line of defense, your primary scorer, and your eraser on every possession. That's not a critique. That's physics. So today I'm laying out 3 things for you. First, the basketball case. Why the exact profile we've been flirting with is not optional if we want to play our best 5 without compromise. Second, the market case. Why the value is spiking now, what the Jazz are posturing for, and how the cap mechanics give us leverage later. Third, the timing case. When this flips from wish list to executable plan, and how it intersects with early season availability and the calendar that actually governs deals in this league. If you're here for hard talk and no fluff, that's what I do. And if you want more breakdowns like this all season, tap subscribe to Lakers News Fan Report and drop a like now. It helps me put in the hours to bring you clean. Sober analysis with a fan heartbeat. Let's start on the floor. The modern AD equation is simple. When he plays primarily as a free safety roaming, switching when needed, sliding into gaps, he wrecks sets and closes quarters with momentum plays. When he lives as the only big, he gets dragged into 2 jobs, sink to tag the roller and still contest the pull-up, then somehow box out 2 bodies on the glass. That's energy you want in the fourth, not on possession number 13 in the second quarter. Pair him with a vertical 5 who runs rim to rim, lives in drop, and inhales defensive rebounds. And suddenly AD's contests come from strength, not rescue. Your transition defense sharpens because the first shot is worse, and your spacing improves because teams can't top lock your guards knowing there's no lob threat behind them. That 5 also needs to be emotionally low maintenance, willing to screen 60 times a night, and happy to finish plays that start with other names on the marquee. That brings me to the player profile. The front office has circled in red ink. We're not talking about a stretch 5 who wants 12 post touches or a name with bigger Q rating than rim presence. We're talking about elite rim deterrence, top-tier block rate per minute, high conversion as a roll man, a simple catching radius that turns average pocket passes into dunks, and an offensive glass that flips 3 or 4 possessions a game. You add that to our guards' patience in pick and roll and AD's mid-post reads, and you get clean looks without running anything exotic. In plain English, when the lights get hot, simple things have to work. Now the market. Utah knows exactly what they have. A 24-year-old center on a low 4th-year number, heading toward restricted free agency next summer, and coming off a negotiation window that didn't produce an extension. That's leverage on both sides. For the Jazz, waiting can raise the price if he pops. For buyers, waiting can narrow the price if the relationship gets transactional and the board shifts as other centers move. Multiple teams have kicked the tires. The story you've heard is that the ask has been heavy young starter-level guard talent, plus first, and that's by design. Danny Ainge is a career negotiator. He opens at 30% above market and sees who blinks. It doesn't mean you pay it. It means you line up your trigger, keep your assets dry, and move when pressure flips. What does pressure look like? Three things. 1. Deadline gravity. Every February, sellers test. We'll just keep him until the board concretes and they either get paid or get stuck carrying risk. 2. Player pathways. If a young big enters the all-defense conversation by January, the optics of we'd rather test restricted free agency than secure him get tricky in a locker room trying to grow. 3. Your own season arc. If your defense floats in the middle without that one skill set, the cost of doing nothing is higher than the sticker shock of sending out a pick you plan to hoard. Teams don't trade in a vacuum. They trade in timelines. Let me be crystal. I don't sign off on mortgaging the backcourt just to say we did something. You don't detach your most reliable perimeter hub in a league that punishes low IQ creation. You find the edges where short-term help doesn't amputate long-term flexibility. That's why patience beats panic here. Our front office has learned the hard way that names don't beat playoff defenses, profiles do. This profile wins in ugly games and travels on the road. On fit, it's clean. Offensively, you run simple delay into dribble handoffs, flow into snug pick and rolls with your guards, and let a D operate from the nail without a crowd. The 5 lives in the dunker when he's not screening. Crash counters the switch by burying smaller wings under the rim, and resets the possession with kickouts when the catch isn't clean. Defensively, you live in conservative drop for 35 minutes a night to protect legs, sprinkle and switch and show for matchups, and always have a backline body to turn lobs so a D can play the chess he loves. You'll also like the foul profile, elite shot blockers, who stay vertical, let you squeeze shot quality without gifting free throws. What about the locker room? The big you bring in here cannot walk in thinking he's the story. He's the solve. He's a 30-minute role with star-level impact and margins, not a give-me-the-ball energy. That plays with veterans, it plays with coaches, and it keeps your late-game pecking order sane. And for the young wings we all want to see grow, a true 5 simplifies their reads. Attack a tilted floor, hit the pocket, relocate, rinse, repeat. Basketball gets easier when the geometry makes sense. Costs and structure. On the money side, the number is friendly now. The decision comes next summer. Restricted free agency means you can match, but it also means you're paying market if he hits the leap. That's not scary if you've already translated his value into wins in your system. It's scary if you're guessing. So if you move now, you do it with conviction and a realistic forecast of the deal you're willing to give years, ascending dollars, and performance bonuses that align incentives. If you wait, you're betting you can win a bidding war or that the Jazz will blink before the deadline. Both are valid strategies. Only one matches the urgency of a veteran window. Timeline, the league calendar is your friend. As we cross the mid-December threshold and more contracts become trade eligible, you get better construction options without touching blue-chip guards unless the other side gets reasonable. And as we inch toward the deadline, the number of buyers thins and the price clarity improves. Meanwhile, we're managing early season availability and asking secondary creators to do a little more. That is exactly when a vertical spacer and a paint anchor have an outsized impact, not because they're running second side actions, but because they make everyone else's job easier. Let me bring this to the moment you're waiting for, the part where I've been hearing the same thing from different mouths around the league. The Lakers haven't just kicked the tires. They've internally aligned on the target and the role. They've game planned the rotations with a real 5. They've mapped out packages that reach the value line without burning the core. So here's the reveal in adult language. What I can confirm today is intent, priority, and a path. The move Walker Kessler in purple and gold fits basketball logic, cap logic, and locker room logic. The trade is not executed today, and the sticker shock remains real. But the front office has moved this from idea to actionable plan with checkpoints on price and timing. That's the truth I'll put my name on. Why him specifically? Because he gives you two premium playoff skills that don't fluctuate with whistles or road: crowds, rim deterrence, and possession creation on the glass. He doesn't need 14 plays called to impact the game. He converts at the rim, sets violent screens that free your guards, and turns 50 to 50 rebounds into 70 to 30s. You can win playoff minutes with that, even against 5-out looks, as long as you're disciplined about coverages and matchups. And with a D next to him, your best five gets bigger without getting slower. Risks? Of course. You're buying a young big who still needs reps guarding in space and punishing. Switches with deep seals instead of bringing the ball down. You're inheriting a negotiation next summer in a market where centers get paid when they tilt series. And you're navigating a seller that will happily hold if the price doesn't hit. That's why discipline matters. Walk away if the ask is your best guard and multiple unprotected firsts. Pay if the price settles into something that respects your future, but acknowledges your now. If you've been with me this far, you know I'm not into fairy tale endings or bombastic promises. I'm into roster math that shows up on the scoreboard. Adding a rim protector who runs, screens, and swallows defensive rebounds lets a D breathe late, lowers the physical tax on your creators, and gives your coaches coverage flexibility without emergency scrambling. That's not a highlight. That's a foundation. My concise read. As we sit here, the Lakers have identified the right solution, at the right position in the right age band. The lever is price. The runway is the winter calendar. The measure of success is whether we protect our backcourt engine while adding a piece that wins ugly possessions in April. If you want the jersey revealed today, this is the part where good teams do the patient, boring, smart thing and then look obvious later. I'll close with two asks for you, because this channel is a conversation. First, if you believe in building this the right way, no panic moves, no vanity trades, tell me where your line is. Would you pay a first and a prospect? Would you include a starter? Where does now outweigh later for you? Second, tell me how you deploy him. A D at the 4 full-time. Stagger the bigs? Close with matchups? I read everything, and the best debates here have turned into better videos, better live streams, and honestly better therapy after tough losses. My final analysis: pursuing Walker Kessler as the priority frontcourt piece is the correct basketball decision for this roster and timeline, provided the price respects the backcourt core and preserves at least one premium pick. It's a move that clarifies roles, hardens your defensive identity, and scales in the playoffs. The trade is not done today, but the intent is real and the path exists now. It's on value and timing. What do you think? Push now or wait out the market? Drop your take below. And if you want every twist of this story with clean breakdowns, subscribe to Lakers News Fan Report and keep notifications on. I'll be here with updates and film when the board starts moving.